Hey everyone, I am Sudhir Kiran, a leader driving change in the field of education. Welcome to Leadership in Education, a series that shines a spotlight on the remarkable individuals who are shaping the future of education through their leadership. Welcome to another episode of Leadership in Education. Today we have Jigyasa Labroo, a wonderful educator reimagining the educational landscape through arts and creativity. Jigyasa, if I have to introduce you at length, it'll take an episode fully, so I'm just going to keep it short. So you're the CEO and co-founder of Slam Out Loud, an organization that cultivates socio-emotional learning in underserved communities, and you're doing a wonderful job. I'm so happy to be associated with you as a partner at Ashoka Shishu Vihara. And you have a master's from Harvard University, and you've been fellow in India and abroad. So I'm so glad to be talking to you today. So let's dive right in. I'd like to know a bit about your journey. Where did it all begin? So please go ahead.
I grew up in Dharamshala, which is wonderful, beautiful, in the mountains, in Himalayas.
Yeah.
My family is originally from Kashmir, so the moving part of from Kashmir to Dharamshala wasn't the greatest, because there was an exodus and my family had to move out. I wasn't born then; I was born in Himachal.
Right.
However, the wonderful thing about being born in Himachal was how spiritually and naturally abundant it is, and to grow up somewhere where you're close to nature, to grow up somewhere where the community really nourishes you was really gratifying. And growing up myself, I had a lot of exposure to the arts, even though it's a small town. So I'm a small town girl, and the exposure opportunities were small. I learned how to paint, and I especially learned the traditional way of painting in Himachal. So I learned the Kangra miniature style of painting.
Okay.
And I was exposed to dance, so I learned Bharatanatyam for many years.
So all this during your school time?
All this during my school
Very
time.
nice.
I learned Bharatanatyam, or was exposed to music quite a bit in my family. And by being exposed to music, I mean listening to a lot of music and dabbling with a few instruments at school. And I think even as a child, I found my most joyful moments when I was creating something and when I was reading.
So you've been an avid reader all your life. I think that's contributed to your growth in a way.
I hope so.
Yeah,
it didn't contribute to my longitudinal growth.
Sure.
But imagination sort of grew. I used to I really was a library person.
Really? Very
going
nice.
to the library
Nice.
and read. And sometimes I wish I was slightly more sports person, especially basketball. And if I wish I had complan also, all those things didn't happen. But
Right.
I read a lot, and my family sort of tricked me into reading, because what used to happen was, and this was a trick, and I fell for it. Right before exams, my mother would bring this big bundle of books, which were non-curricular books. And she would say that this is the prize for studying well for exams.
That is so cool.
And I loved reading. I read
Yeah.
everything, including
Yeah.
what is at the back of shampoo. I still do that.
Right.
So wherever I saw words, I read them. And she would hide this stack of books. So I would quickly be like, exam khatam karna hai, padna hai, achhe marks lane hai. And then the reward was books. And it was joyful. It was fun.
So cool, so cool. Thank you so much. And then what about your college life? How was that? Would love to know.
Totally forgot. I chose to do engineering because, of course, in India we do engineering, then we think about
that's
what
the
we
first
want to
step
do.
to-
It's the first step,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And so I enrolled into engineering. I did think about journalism at some point of time, but family situations at that point made me deeply think about financial stability, and to my naive mind at that point it just felt like a degree in journalism or English won't lead to instant financial stability as engineering would.
Right.
So I went into engineering, studied computer science, enjoyed parts of it.
Wow, okay.
And
Computer science, very
yeah,
nice. Okay.
right? Sounds so cool.
And that's from computer science to education. Wow.
Exactly. You should see me try to do Excel. Anyway, I studied computer science, enjoy some part of it, did a few internships and realized that I didn't want to continue being a computer science engineer.
Right.
And found out about Teach for India, which was a paid opportunity.
Very nice.
Where I could do something that led to nation building. I think
Sure.
this was a
and drive
really
change
big part.
probably. I think that is one of the things that you've been doing all this while, right?
Trying to,
Yeah.
yeah. I think a big draw for me was the word India in the name. I think patriotism is like one of my topmost values, and not in a very nationalist, jingoistic way,
Sure.
but in a very deeply felt passion about our country and
Right.
wanting to do my bit in building the India that I want, or building
Absolutely.
the India that I have dreams for. So at that point of time, teaching and being into education just felt like a way to build our country. And I'm so glad that I took that call.
Very
that
nice.
I wanted to get into education and do something that would make me more joyful.
Absolutely, and you've done fantastic work. I've seen your work through Slam Out Loud, and I can't wait to explore a little more about Slam Out Loud. So tell us a little bit about Slam Out Loud, the organization, what you've done. How did you co-found this? What were these, first initial thoughts that came to your mind and said, you know what, social emotional learning, that's something that I want to take up and build. And how did that come about?
Yes. I think the formation of Slam Out Loud again goes back or is tied to my own childhood in two ways. One is, like I told you, I was exposed to the arts, and that's where I found my own voice. There was this amazing teacher that I had in 4th grade. Her name is Manisha ma'am. She was fabulous. She was a wonderful teacher, and she was my class teacher in grade 4. And
Was she also an arts teacher?
No.
No, just the class
She,
teacher.
a class
She
teacher.
was inspired.
Yeah, and she used to teach English and science then. And I was struggling with self-esteem at this point of time in my childhood. I used to be in a Hindi medium school. I was just moved to an English medium school, and I was still finding my space in that school. But I think by the sheer power of unconditional love and positive regard, I felt she transformed my life as a teacher.
Wow.
I felt like my voice mattered, what I brought to the table mattered, that I was capable of being loved, and I didn't have to prove something or achieve something to, beget love.
That is
and
so
that,
important.
It is so important. And I think knowing how much influence she had in me developing as a person made me choose this path of becoming a teacher. So that became one big part of seeing how a teacher influenced and changed my life, that pushed me towards education.
Right.
And the second was the exposure to arts. Like I felt like that's where I felt joy, and I felt my voice or my stories existed. So both of these came together. I was teaching children in the Teach for India Fellowship, and what I found was that my children who were never raising their hands in the class were suddenly raising their hands.
Nice.
Children were talking about things that were important to them.
Absolutely.
And
you self-express. You
Absolutely.
have, ways to express yourself in the classroom.
Yeah.
That comes about in social emotional learning.
Exactly. And we often tell children, when they come to school, to leave their identity, to leave their culture, to leave their religion at the gate, and then become part of this blob, right, which is homogeneous. But in my class, in art, I saw how children were reclaiming identity, how children were reclaiming culture through what they were creating using the arts. I brought in poetry, music, theatre, a lot of these arts into my own class, and I saw the journey of transformation of the children that I taught.
Right.
And that was a big impetus. I called this project Slam Out Loud in my classroom.
Right.
And a bunch of people ask, why Slam Out Loud?
It's such a cool name, if I have to say. Yeah, it is definitely. It's just like Slam Out Loud. Everyone's like, okay, what is that? It's so cool.
It's fun. So I wasn't trying to make an organization. I was trying to build an event where I would do a poetry workshop, and children would come together. They would also write poems. They would perform poems. And I was discussing this with my co-teacher, who became my co-founder, Gaurav. We were both sitting in a classroom, and So he was checking papers, and I tell him, we're doing this event where children will do the arts. Now we need a name for it. We'll specially do spoken word poetry. And he says, yes, we need a name. And I said, we're trying a form of slam poetry. Should we put like slam? And he's like, yes. And then I said, out loud might look nice with slam. And he's like, whatever. So I sent an email. There's an event happening called Slam Out Loud, and then the event happened. So very underwhelming story of the name.
I don't think so at all.
No?
It's just
Fun?
like, it's so nice that it came about this way. It has a backstory to it, which is interesting. Yeah. Very nice.
And so Slam Out Loud was the name of the event. Then when we registered the organization, we named it, so on paper our name is Foundation of Arts for Social Change in India.
Right.
So we tried telling everybody, now listen, come here, like no, it's no Slam Out Loud, Foundation of Arts for Social Change in India. And everybody was like, no, Slam Out Loud.
Slam Out Loud, yes.
So we then stuck with Slam Out Loud. That's the story of the name.
Very nice.
But Slam Out Loud, going from an event to a project in my classroom to an organization was really spurred by a moment of obligation that I had. And this happened when I went to Kashmir for the first time. Now I told you in the beginning, my family is originally from Kashmir. I grew up outside of Kashmir, never went there. Until I was 22 years old. I was doing this internship with the government of Kashmir while I was at TFI, and this was part of the summer break. And I went there for about 2 months. Now during this internship, the gift that I sort of carried into this internship was this poetry workshop that I always used to do. And I'd done it for more than 50-60 groups of children.
I'm sure.
Where I asked children.
I'm sure more than that.
Yeah. And where I asked children to pick an emotion, and I take them through this exercise to write a small poem on that emotion. So emotion, think about a color, think about a sound, and something like that. And in this classroom in Kashmir, most children ended up writing about anger, confusion, sadness, hate, like very difficult feelings. And
it's influenced by their system around that's built, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I'd love to know about a little more about that as well, to see,
Yeah. So the school was in downtown Srinagar and was in an area which had a lot of curfews. So through the year the school got like less than 100 working days. So children came to school much lesser than they should. And I never asked children to reflect the political situation. Or their emotional situation connected with the political situation, and yet when they wrote about these feelings, when they talked about these feelings, this came up. And that is what the arts does, right? It enables us to bring to the fore how we really feeling, and
sort of their lived experience.
It is their lived experience, and at that point of time I didn't know what to do with this. So I acknowledged that I was grateful that they felt there was a safe space to share, and they shared. But that really stayed with me. And I think that was a moment of obligation that made me think deeply about how I can't be going to every single classroom and be doing a workshop. This has to come together in a more organized way. And the way I knew of making things organized was starting an organization. So Slam Out Loud became an organization because that happened. And I try to focus on this a lot when I say it was a moment of obligation. But running this organization, starting this organization, working here is also my biggest joy. So obligation and joy sort of go hand in hand. I'm compelled to do this. But it is also extremely joyful. It's so much fun.
I think it's such a great combination because it shows in the work that you do, and how widespread you are through the country. And I think so many people benefit off of these programs. And I'm really glad. Very nice.
Thank you.
Superb. So poetry, theatre, arts, and working with children using these mediums. How do you think it has impacted children, and what is this combination all about? How do you see it?
Yes, I can start off with a very academic way of looking at it, right? And the academic way of looking at it is that there is global research. So whether you have the World Economic Forum or National Endowment for Arts or multiple bodies that point to how arts is one of the most powerful ways for children to build the skills they need to
Right.
thrive. So, different buckets, life skills, 21st century skills,
Yeah.
socio-emotional learning skills.
Right.
But what we're all and all these organizations academically agreeing on is that, the arts is one of the most powerful ways
Right.
to build these skills in
Right.
children.
And you've seen that in action over the years, and it's helped children.
Absolutely. And so Slam Out Loud hasn't existed for that long.
Sure.
However, there have been studies abroad.
Studies, of course, yeah.
That show how children, who go through art programs are like twice more likely to go to college, 5 times less likely to go to jail, much more likely to become entrepreneurs or start their own businesses.
Right.
And be able to do things like resolve conflicts without violence, be
very
able
important.
to create an ecosystem of support around themselves.
Right.
So that's a very academic way of looking at what the arts can do to children. But the other way of looking at it is also that, all of our lives in one way or the other are difficult in some ways.
Right.
And the arts, whether it's a poem or it's a song or it's our favorite movie, it just makes it slightly easier.
Joyful.
Makes us feel like there's someone else going through that experience,
Right.
whether joyful or really, really
Absolutely,
sad.
sure.
And we don't just do art or create art or express to become artists or to be, academically good at it.
Right.
But we also do this to feel good,
Absolutely.
to feel better,
Yeah.
for catharsis, to reconcile with our own feelings.
Right.
And that's the kind of effect we've seen on children. So while we've seen them do things like become better communicators,
Absolutely.
create better ecosystems of support around themselves, have more agency, have greater imagination,
Absolutely.
right? Such an important thing for children who come from low income communities, where everyone has decided that their dreams are in 2 buckets. And the 2 buckets are like getting a job or at best doing well at academics. And nothing across these 2 buckets is possible.
Right.
So if our children are able to build that imagination that there are more things around these buckets,
They can do so much more. Yeah.
their lives change,
Absolutely.
right? And that's a socio-emotional learning skill, which is
Yeah.
imagination. Being able to analytically think and make decisions.
Right.
Being able to be curious.
Right.
All of these are skills that children build using the arts, and we've
Yeah.
seen our children build over the years.
Yeah.
So many examples of children. 4 of them, who used to be in earlier batches of Slam Out Loud. 4 of them are currently pursuing liberal arts, all
Wow.
4 own scholarships, 2 at Ashoka University, 1 at Flame, 1 at Azim Premji. And all the children who were in the first batch, and there were only 12 children, but all of them I know are individuals who have a very strong sense of self, who have a very strong voice, who have agency in their life. And that's what changes with finding a voice, with arts, and with arts as the input.
So Jigyasa, Slam Out Loud is spread across the country. You're working with so many different schools, affordable private schools, probably the government as well in some form. You're working with different communities, different caste backgrounds. You're working with so many different types of children, teachers, organizations. Could you sort of talk to me a little bit about what challenges you might have faced, in ensuring that this program of Slam Out Loud or multiple programs that you have come together and sort of, have its impact on the communities? And what are some of the, really good things that you've seen, you've observed that people can learn from, can use in their work? It will be good to know.
Absolutely happy to share. Since we started with challenges on the question, I will start with challenges.
Sure.
We're trying to, as an organization, solve a problem that nobody thinks is a problem, right? Our ratio of art teachers to number of students in government schools in Delhi is 1:1400, which means less than 20 hours of artistic learning for children who go to the government schools, right? And this is one of the best. Other states, the numbers are usually much lower.
Larger.
Much lower.
Much lower, okay.
Yeah, so the ratio is much larger. India ranks 99th on the Global Creativity Index. United Kingdom size is so small, but their spending on arts and culture is 5 times that of India.
Sure,
So we're living in a situation where the facts look like these, and we're saying that children should have access to artistic opportunities and the arts.
Right.
Nobody really thinks it's a problem, right? Because we've grown up with that narrative that the arts are just the frills.
Right. Exactly.
And numeracy,
It's
literacy,
just, yeah.
these are important
These
things
are
that
the most
will
important. Arts is
lead.
just painting and, you know, sort of a side activity that you do.
Exactly,
And,
right? That you can discard, that you can quit. So to solve a problem in a system that doesn't consider that
It
this
as a
is
priority,
a problem
yeah.
is a big challenge. So we not only have to work towards solving the problem as an organization, we also have to shout at the top of our lungs that this is a problem, advocate, convert people where possible to coming on board and saying that if our children don't have access to safe spaces where they build the skills they need to thrive, that is a problem, and the arts can help solve this problem. So I think that is one really, really big challenge that we face as an organization. And the second challenge then that gets connected to the first challenge is when nobody thinks it's a problem, how many people could come together to support this problem, right?
Yeah, and it has to be constantly supported. There has to be sustainability across your work. So
absolutely,
totally understand.
So that sort of becomes a problem. I think it's a problem and a challenge in a mix. And the third one is, I think more of a personal challenge, which is, you know, I did not start this organization after like 10-15 years of work X in something else. This is also literally my second job. So I'm learning on the go, I'm making mistakes, I'm learning from those mistakes, I'm trying to be the best leader I can be.
Sure.
And I know I'm not there yet.
Sure.
But I'm working on it, and it is challenging. The dynamics changed.
Yeah.
A couple of years back we were 6 people, now we're almost 50 people. It calls from me a very different kind of leadership that I'm learning on the go, and that in itself is a challenge, especially you know, in a country like India where we don't have a lot of women who are entrepreneurs, where we don't have younger people in power, where younger people are not taken seriously. So all of these come together to form this big personal challenge around what does me being a leader look like.
Right.
So that's a couple of challenges.
Right.
Now coming to a few successes.
Yes.
I think the first thing that I'm about to say can be construed as a challenge, but is actually a stepping stone to success, and it is being contextual. It is being really rooted in the voices of our children, and user obsession, right? Really knowing what our teachers want, what our students want, and this changes as your geography changes, as the language changes. So the diversity is a feature, right? It's not a bug, and having that lens, having that stance as an organization has been really successful for us, where we've, you know, if we've gone to a Punjab, we've adopted Punjabi art forms as a part of our curriculum. We've brought in,
so it's very localized.
Exactly. So we brought in like local teachers, local administrators, children's voices into understanding what kind of curriculum we want to create, what kind of programs we want to roll on ground, understanding their needs before deciding that, you know, we know everything and we will tell you what to do, and doing similar things in Maharashtra, and that has cultivated in children not only this space to express, but also sowed the seeds of like pride in your own language, your own culture, not just becoming, you know, a McDonald's of culture in that way, right? So diversity is a feature.
Is great,
and we've seen so much success coming around with that. The second has been the number of children who've gone on to different platforms and, you know, raised their voice, talked about things that are important to them. That has been such a success to see. You think of Kala Ghoda Arts Festival, India Art Fest, Spoken Fest, National Youth Poetry Slam, multiple TEDx talks. Our kids have been there and they've performed to audiences in thousands. One of our kids went to Finland and performed there. And they've not performed because they're poor children. They've performed because they deserve to be on that stage. Their voice needs to be heard, and because they're that good.
Right. And you've intervened with them so that, empowered them. That's something that is so lovely to hear. Because
Yeah.
I'll just share one thing
Yes.
from our school.
Yes.
Is that we have been associated for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And before that, when I was here, I would see children not very expressive. They're not, they didn't have that awareness of self, and they could express. They didn't have like a fully safe space for them to explore their thoughts or their apprehensions or whatever. And I think since Slam Out Loud has come in, it's been such a change for them as well. And I see that they have gone on to different stages outside the school. They have performed. They've had a great time. Their confidence has increased. And I think it is true that arts and this sort of holistic development that we talk about, right? It has to be 21st century skills. We've got arts education, we've got activity based learning, we've got academics. It has to be like a sort of 360-degree holistic thing for children, and just wanted to share that one small bit. We benefited a lot from this.
Yeah,
our children love it. So.
And we love it too, that we're in a school like yours where our visions align and we're all together keeping children at the center, right? And that's happened because both parties have come together and said, we'll do what's best for children.
Right.
And the third success really has been our team and the kind of people we've been able to attract and get on the bus of Slam Out Loud. I think once you have the right people on the bus, magical things happen.
I'm sure.
So we have the people with the smart skills, attitudes to get us to our vision. They all are able to think in ways I cannot, do things in ways I cannot, and getting together, this kind of talent that's smarter than I am, that is so driven, that is passionate about solving this problem, has been a wonderful, wonderful success. Just to give you an example, last year we had, for our fellowship, we had about 900 people who filled, who completed the applications, and then we selected 17 best fellows out of that. So we've been able to attract great talent, and I'm so grateful, and I think it's a success that our team, the culture we've been able to build, the impact that we have has been able to get all of that talent and, come along on the vision.
Very nice. I'm so glad. I mean, I'd like to say something about getting all of them on the same page, aligned to the vision, and try to execute it with the same motivation every single day. I think is really hard. Number one, and we have been, as a school, Ashoka Shishu Vihara, are trying to do that day in, day out. And our teachers, I think, have been so connected to our vision and trying to help our underserved communities, day in, day out, come to the classes. You put that effort, you try to ensure that they're doing well, etc. And I can only imagine that an organization like Slam Out Loud doing that day in, day out across the country must be a big challenge, plus a good thing that you've got so many people on board on the bus. So wishing you all the best with that.
Thank you.
So Jigyasa, it'll be lovely to know if you have any advice for organizations or for schools, institutions, affordable private schools, or anyone who is willing to take on something like an arts-based program, right? In their usually resource-constrained environments. It'll be good for our viewers to learn a bit from your experience.
Yes. I have a thought/suggestion, which is, the first place to start is our own mindset around the arts. How much are we willing to give it its due space in our curriculum, in our school, in our time, and go from, arts is the frills to art is a right for everybody, expression is a right for everybody, and great things happen when children build imagination, when children build curiosity and skills like that. Now coming to resource constraints, as you've seen with Slam Out Loud, a lot of our work is in the performing arts, right, for which you mostly need your body and voice.
Yes.
So encouraging a lot of performing arts spaces enables us to operate even in resource constrained environments, and there's so many resources. Like Slam Out Loud has a bunch of like lesson plans that you can go on our website, access, or look at how theatre in a resource constrained environment can look like, because after all you're working with your body, with your voice.
Right.
And similarly, like if I can think of poetry or creative writing, again, it's in the similar space.
Sure.
Storytelling is in similar space. Now coming to visual arts, when people think of visual arts, the first image that comes to mind is, I don't know, maybe a Raza making a bindu with, bunch of like art material. However, if we look back at our ancient culture and traditions, we've always been utilizing stuff that is already at home to make things, right? Haldi can go become color yellow, a little spinach can be put into water, become green. And when we're getting children to do all of this, we're again stretching their imagination, we're again stretching their resourcefulness. So it's like double dhamaka, right? Two things are happening at the same time. A child is able to figure out an answer to a problem, which is, let's say I don't have a lot of paint, and the child is also able to paint, which is incredibly joyful. And working with nature-based products, which are great for the environment and also great for the child's health. So many good things happen sometimes when we are in resource constraints.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you. So Jigyasa, you've been awarded the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia and also have been the Innovator of the Year. You won the award, the Innovator of the Year by 100, if I'm not wrong. How have these awards, sort of accolades, added to your work and your sort of vision to move ahead with Slam Out Loud in what you're doing?
Yes, I think so. The first thing I really want to say that I'm grateful that I got these platforms and these opportunities and this recognition, that people who are as hardworking as me or more hardworking than me sometimes have difficulty accessing. So I want to just acknowledge the privilege that comes with being coming from being able to speak English, having access to certain opportunities. I grew up in a small town, but then I moved to a bigger town, Delhi, and did some work over there. However, we also need to take a bunch of these awards on face value, right? Which is, when you say a Forbes 30 Under 30, it's a measure of time in a way, right? That what did you do? Like, you were able to do something under 30, which is great, and we recognize that. And similarly, Innovator of the Year is like that year you did something really amazing. What I'm out to do is creating an enduring organization, or creating work that will give my whole life meaning, or create ripples of change for years and years and years. And for me, what these awards mean are acknowledgements and an appreciation and a pat on the back, and mostly say that go on this path of meaning and joy and learning. And sometimes the awards open a bunch of doors for me, and sometimes attract people to learn more about Slam Out Loud, and hence they really fulfill that purpose. Having said that, I didn't start out thinking that I'll get these awards, and they're truly like the gifts that have come along the way for me. So these are just things happening as bonuses. And I'm very grateful. Like, I want to establish that very clearly. Extremely grateful that these happened, and they are great encouragements. Yeah, I hope to keep doing my work regardless of whether I get any award ahead in my life or not.
Thank you so much for that. So Jigyasa, you have been a partner to us at Ashoka Shishu Vihara for a year and a half now. I'd like to know about your experience partnering with us, and how has it helped Slam Out Loud, because we have loved you being here. So I'd love to know a bit about the partnership from you.
Absolutely. We've also really loved being here. I think especially when we think about placing fellows who are really these amazing role models to put in front of children who've pursued the arts, who've made it such an important part of their lives, who are ready to share their art, share their gifts with children. A really important thing becomes that the schools that we enter, the spaces that we enter, are safe for our fellows and allow them nurturing environments that they can also grow in. And I think Ashoka Shishu Vihara has been that school for us. And you've been a school leader who has enabled our fellow to find their own voice as they enable children to find their voice. And this alignment in vision again, which is that children should get safe spaces, they should build life skills, they should get spaces where they can thrive, they should be able to put their original work out into the world. Like all of this alignment comes together in children really benefiting from a program.
Right.
We could have a situation where we agree on a partnership, and if either party's like heart or commitment isn't there,
Right.
then we would have issues with scheduling when the class happens,
Yeah.
or even taking out time for it,
Right.
or treating it as extracurricular,
Yeah.
or treating it as something that just needs to be done before
Right.
the annual function.
Absolutely.
And we've had none of that here.
So sweet. Thank you.
Instead, what we've had is proper time in the curriculum. We've had Slam Out Loud material across the whole class. We've had children and other teachers be excited about Slam Out Loud. We've had your teachers come to SOL events, bring their children along, implement activities from the classrooms, and that is what real partnership looks like. It's a win-win partnership, right?
Absolutely.
We gain so much from your support, and
Yeah.
you gain so much from the practices that fellows bring in here.
Yes.
And our fellowship is only for a year, and so a fellow will go and next year another will come, but the teachers who are in the school are here from a long time and will
Right.
be here, and I see the ripples of their learnings and their joy to like spreading in other classrooms and the work that they do.
Thank you for that. It's very nice. Thank you. So looking ahead, Jigyasa, what does it look like? Yes. What does it look like for Slam Out Loud in the next 5 years, next 10 years? Where can I see Jigyasa in the next 5-10 years? Do you have anything in your mind that you'd like to share?
I can clarify, Jigyasa in next 5 years I think is going to still be at home in Dharamshala. Hopefully the travel would have reduced. Now coming to Slam Out Loud, in the next 5 years I think we want to be able to create 3 things. One is we're deeply aligned to the national education policy and
Sure.
earlier the national curriculum framework that came, and which really recognizes the role of arts in education, which really recognizes that we need to create space for it, we need to create time for it. And we hope to be able to create proof points in the next 5 years that push towards arts getting their rightful spaces in school curriculum, being treated as co-curricular and not extracurricular. And that's the one thing we really want to push towards, create enough proof points, to create enough evidence
Right.
that this pushes our children to be more than who they are.
Right.
So that it gets implemented and adopted
Got it.
at different state levels, national levels.
Got it.
The second big one for us is to be able to create a really strong monitoring and evaluation framework that talks about how the arts build socio-emotional learning skills and be academic in nature and be rigorous in evidence. A lot of programs around the world really still rely on storytelling and anecdotes, and we want to be able to create scientific assessments that show real shift in children.
That's great.
In
That's
terms of
great.
life outcomes, in terms of outcomes that they will have in classrooms and outside of classrooms. And the last one is really us being able to create products and assets that we can put out into the world that anyone anywhere who wants to bring art to their children can use, and we do a lot of that already, but we want to do that at a scale where
Sure.
our children's voices or what our team creates become resources that inspire others to create more and to
Sure.
work more with the arts. So I
Sure.
think those are 3 things I would love for the organization to achieve in the next 5 years.
Very nice, very nice. I'm wishing you all the best with
Thank
that,
you.
and I'm sure we're going to be partners together, doing
Together.
wonderful things in our own spaces, and I'm wishing you all the best with that. Jigyasa.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Jigyasa, I have a few questions. Don't think about it too much. Just jump in and answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
Done.
It need not be like a one-word thing. It can be like a sentence, a paragraph. That's fine. But first thing that comes to your mind, okay? So first question. What is your favorite SEL activity to instantly boost a child's confidence?
Create a poem using your emotion.
Wow, that was really fast, yeah? Superb. Okay. If you could use any fictional character to teach SEL, who would it be and why?
I think Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, why?
Because I think Winnie the Pooh is so emotionally intelligent in how he supports his friends. There's so much companionship, there's so much values,
Yeah,
there's wisdom.
So cute, so cute, so nice. Okay, next. Is there any interaction during an SEL workshop that you had with a child that really warmed your heart?
That really warmed my heart.
And this might take some time.
Yeah.
Because you've dealt with so many children.
So many. Oh my God, so many warm interactions.
So many warming
So many.
instances. I can imagine. Okay,
Can you
something
tell me
that. Yeah, go for it. Go for
Okay,
it.
I'll tell you three.
Yes.
So they're again from the same. My favorite activity is choose an emotion, get a color,
Superb.
and so once a child chose the emotion of love, and I asked describe what is it like, what can you think of, what is the color, and the child said, love is like a black hole.
Wow.
And why it warmed my heart, as a follow-up, I was like, but why? What happened? And then the child didn't answer in the class,
Right.
but it was a
Probably didn't
5th
know
grade child. But later after the class, the child came up to me and explained how a girl broke his heart and he felt love was a black hole. So it just warmed my heart that the child decided to share it with me. That.
So nice.
Another really warm one was a poem writing workshop where a child wrote about I have a dog who sleeps like a log. And it just warmed my heart.
All throughout, so
all
cute.
Throughout.
So cute.
I have a dog who sleeps like a log.
And the way the child has articulated, sleeps like a log.
Exactly.
Just like, wow, that's so cool.
Great description, right? Sleeps like a log. And I've had so many heart moments with children. Another one was, and I talk about this moment often, is when our first group of children, they were in Delhi and they had to come to Bangalore to perform at the National Youth Poetry Slam, and we were in a flight and the flight took off, and they were in a flight for the first time going out of Delhi.
Wow.
And all of them, 12 of them sitting did a together.
I still do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally
It was
understand.
very special
So cute.
and heartwarming.
So cute, so cute.
Ooh, I have one more. So once, someone funded us to take our children on a trip to Himachal, and so we went from Delhi to Chandigarh, and then Chandigarh we had to take a bus. We were going to Manali. So I'm in the bus. I was sleeping, and suddenly kids are crying. They're shouting at the top of their voices, and they're just like, I thought something happened, like something really, really wrong happened, or what is all of this noise? And I got up and I saw that the children were seeing a mountain for the very first time in their lives. And I got to see that
cute.
moment, and it was insane. It blew my mind.
There's so many heartwarming stories.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, next question. Name 3 essential skills SEL helps children develop.
Curiosity, analytical thinking, imagination, agency.
Sweet. Okay, last question. If SEL were a superhero, what would their superpower be?
I think the superhero would be Captain America.
Okay.
Because he really takes care of others. And works with a lot of agency.
Right. Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jigyasa, for being the guest on our show Leadership in Education. You've been a wonderful person to speak to. You have so many things that you want to that you've shared. Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best with Slam Out Loud and everything that you do. Thank you so much.
I've heard that in any kind of relationship, if both parties come out of the relationship the same and not having grown, there's something wrong about that relationship, or there's something that can change about that relationship. And I feel that's also true for the relationship and the partnership that we have with Ashoka Shishu Vihara. Slam Out Loud has come out better and has grown through the relationship, and I think so has the school. One of the reasons why I think this partnership between Slam Out Loud and ASV has been a win-win is because our visions are aligned. Both organizations think that children have a voice that needs to be found, and we need to create safe spaces where they can explore their own agency. Some of the practical ways in which this has played out in our partnership with them through the year has been, them creating a warm, loving, nurturing environments for our teachers who've come into the school, for our fellows who've come into the school, not just promising to, give an art period in the week, which is a co-curricular space, but also going above and beyond by creating spaces sometimes after schools, creating spaces in open mics, such high participation from, other teachers in the schools. And one thing that we saw was really different, unique, and added so much value to this participation was, and this partnership was the involvement of the current teachers of the school. We saw the teachers show up in great numbers at all Slam Out Loud events. We saw them offering unconditional support, advice, love, warmth to the fellows who came here. Nivya, who was a fellow who just came here like 2 days ago to deliver a session, said that even though it was her first time coming to the school and delivering a class, she felt the warmth and regard from other teachers. The school leader Sudhir has been a phenomenal champion and supporter for Slam Out Loud, and his deep belief that our children, no matter where they come from, should have spaces where their education is excellent, holistic, enables agency, has also been a belief that lays the foundation of this wonderful partnership. And I'm so grateful that we found Ashoka Shishovihara and we were able to get into this partnership, and I'm hoping that we only grow together and through this relationship nurture each other and our children's voices.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you'd like to watch more such content on leadership and education, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.